Engaging questions are prerequisite for nice and flowing conversation lessons. We've heard questions like, is Ben a boy? However, in the modern world, many of you may argue that that is a relevant question to ask. Is my face round? Am I here? Today, though, I want to share with you a couple of techniques that I have developed over my 13-year career of teaching English to learners all over the world that I think will ignite everybody and help them express themselves in a way that is pertinent to their own life's concerns. 1. Let your students feel that they're seen. Imagine someone walks into the classroom and there is a massive scar across their face. Quite naturally, that scar will draw your attention. You will want to know, what's happened to their face? But somehow we feel reluctant to ask certain things. My friend, who is in a wheelchair, shared with me that one of the most offensive things that ever happens to her in a conversation is when people pretend that she's not in a wheelchair. My friend says that she would rather they asked her questions about her disability. Half her body is paralyzed. And she would really love to talk about that. But every time she does so, maybe she starts a conversation about her disability, it just so happens that people try to walk away from that conversation. They shun it. It's as if they feel very nice and they don't want to be not nice to that person. So somehow we tend to think that if we talk about someone's disability, or if we talk about someone's physical situation that is very obvious on the surface, somehow we will insult that person. However, if you think about it, there are things about you that you would rather disclose, reveal, and talk about with the world. Just imagine how happy you would be if there was a chance for you to talk about that thing that is otherwise considered a no-no topic for discussion with other people. The same applies to religion. Some people will come to my lessons wearing pendants with the symbol of the Christ on the cross. I think it's a very interesting subject for discussion. Why not ask these people? I can see that you're wearing this nice little Christ pendant. Can you tell me about your faith? You can also make an observation statement when you're talking to a student. You could say, I just saw you wearing this pendant. And then that's it. A question doesn't have to be a question in and of itself. It doesn't have to be asked in an interrogative form. It could come across just as a little statement for your student to pick up on and start talking about. So the general takeaway is this. When a student enters your classroom, ask yourself, what am I genuinely curious about this person? And ask that question. You may wonder, but what if my observation is wrong? Don't worry. Be unassuming, be unprejudiced. If your assumption was wrong, that's okay. Your student will correct you. Be ready and open and willing to be corrected. After all, correction comes in the form of language. And isn't that something that you really want as an English teacher? 2. Instead of asking your student, tell me about yourself, ask them, what does it feel like being you? Instead of asking your student, can you tell me about that moment when you were scuba diving? Ask them, what did it feel scuba diving? What did that experience feel like? Can you see how this question is different from, can you just tell me about that experience? When you're asking your student to talk about an experience, it's likely that they will describe the externals of the experience. In the case of scuba diving, that would probably be the underwater world that they saw, and that is relevant. In case you are teaching that, please feel free to integrate that information into the speaking output material. However, isn't it more interesting to talk about the subjective realm of experience, the thoughts and feelings that are private to your student, but that we would rather talk about if we were given an opportunity to do so? I think you could ask your students very openly, so how did that experience feel like from the inside? Can you describe what thoughts were coming to your mind as you were just swimming past those beautiful corals and schools of fish, etc.? Your student will be very happy to share that with you. There are so many things that we don't talk about in society, slightly because nobody asks us to. And also we're living in a world where we're made to believe that all that matters is the external realm of experience, the objective realm of experience, whereas the subjective, the inner realm of experience is often underrated. English teachers are in a perfect position to shift that tendency to include the inner world and to help our students express their inner world. I noticed that many learners, many people after all, we tend to dismiss our experiences as boring or mundane. But I think there is a lot of wisdom in the boring experiences, so to speak, so we can dredge them up to the surface. Ask your student, what happens in your mind when you're washing the dishes? What happens in your mind when you're making your bed? What happens in your mind when you're in a lift? What thoughts come to mind when you're in an elevator? What thoughts are in your mind when the door of an elevator opens and then somebody walks in? Be observant. Do you know how comedians work? They always have a little notebook just in their pocket, in case if they see a situation in their everyday life and they're very observant, something very mundane and something that most of us won't even pay attention to, they will grab that notebook, fish it out of their pocket, and they will write that situation down so that they can create a little sketch around it in the future. I want you to do the same. Be like a writer. When you're walking around, just notice little situations, such as thinking something weird when you're passing a group of older people outside and you can hear some bottles jingling in their hands and you think to yourself, drunken men. So reflect on that experience and ask your student, do you ever think anything when you pass your neighbours in the street? Also, to link that with curiosity. There will be certain aspects of your student's experience that you have no idea how they feel. Your student may be gay. They may be of a different sex. They may have done something very unusual. Maybe they were in the military and you weren't. You will have no idea how those experiences feel unless you actually partake in those activities. So your student is a perfect chance for you to practice your curiosity and also to engage them in a natural conversation. They will want to come to your lessons again and again after you do that. So don't shun asking about your students' unusual experiences. Help them feel that no experience is boring or mundane. There is something engaging to every single experience. 3. Probe into your students' epistemology. Epistemology is a branch of science that deals with this massive question: how do we know what we know? This is basically the study of knowledge. What does this look like in practice when you're dealing with your student? Imagine your student is sharing that men and women think differently. They present it as a fact. Here we're not concerned whether it is a fact or not, indeed. But what we want to do is we want to ask our student to go deeper into their thinking patterns and to actually discover why they think that this is a fact. You may ask them, how do you know that this is a fact? Or imagine your student is talking about people being hostile and unfriendly. And imagine your student says, a man to a man is like a wolf to a wolf. We're all swimming in a pool of sharks. That attitude probably informs their day-to-day interactions with the world and with themselves. You can act as that mirror to the person and help them understand themselves a little bit better, while also helping them practice English in the meantime. Ask them, so why do you think this is so? What made you think this is so? How do you know that people are hostile? Were you born with that opinion as a child? When did you pick it up? The purpose behind that activity is to help your students realize that our beliefs are relative, that there is also another way of looking at things. Some of the beliefs that we hold are really detrimental. They hurt us. They make our lives unbearable. And if you help your student discover their proactive role in creating their own beliefs, you will be of great service to the learner who you are interacting with. Just in addition to being an English teacher, you will be helping that learner tackle the most gruesome things about themselves, the most gruesome beliefs that they hold. And it will help them get rid of those beliefs after they see the relative nature of all of them. Also, with regard to epistemological questions, you can ask your students meta questions. Meta questions is questions about the questions. For example, after asking a question, you may ask your student, "Why do you think I have just asked you this question?" After having done an activity, ask your student, "Why do you think we have just done this activity?" When you are discussing a photo, ask your student, "Why do you think we are discussing this photo, not some other photo out of the myriad of photos existing out there in the world?" That will help your student take a step out of their perspective, take a step out of the present situation, and broaden their view a little bit. That is necessary if we want to help our learners develop critical thinking and synthesicity of their mind. So that would be it from me for today. My name is Lilia and I'm running this channel Intelligent, which is a channel all about the intelligent learning of English. If you're interested in my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give it a like so that we can always be connected and you receive notifications every time a new message comes out. I wish you the very best in your teaching and learning process. It's a never-ending process and it's a beautiful process. Personally, if you ask me, I hope learning never ends. I think the day when everything is discovered will be the worst day of my life. So I just hope that we keep learning all the time and there is something to discover all the time. And thankfully this is so, as for now. So thank you very much for watching and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.